Around the end of the 9th millennium BC, farming communities coming from the Levant settled on the island. They introduced new plant and animal species, such as fallow deer, sheep, goat and pig, as well as wheat and pulses in the local ecosystem. Soon after this, an original civilization developed, the Cypriot Aceramic Neolithic, which reached its peak at the end of the 7th millennium BC, with the so-called Khirokitia culture, after the name of the most impressive site of this period. Around 5500 BC, Khirokitia, like the other Aceramic sites, was abandoned, yet no explanation has been found for the disappearance of this unique civilization. The village spreads over the sides of a hill located in the meander of a river. It covers a total area of about 3 hectares and its population is estimated to have been between 300 and 400 people. From the beginning of its establishment, it was enclosed by an imposing wall, which was most likely built to define it and emphasize the cohesion of the community rather than to ensure its safety. Located on top of the hill, close to the entrance, this large open space that hosts 2 low-height platforms appears to be the place where most likely collective activities, such as cereal husking and cleaning, took place, as suggested by the grinding grains installation that were found together with cereal remains, mainly spikelet forks and gloom bases. This may also have been a meeting place for the community or a part of the community. Squeeze the controller trigger with your index to reveal teleportation points and areas which you can explore. The basic architectural element is a circular construction with a flat roof. A house is a compound that consists of several structures built around an open-air courtyard, used for domestic activities such as manufacturing tools and objects and preparing food. The abandonment of a house or a building is a recurrent phenomenon in the life of a village. However, Khirokitia offers several cases of intentional abandonment, marked by particular rituals, as it happened to this structure and the one opposite its entrance, both belonging to the same house. The inside shows the usual arrangement of early constructions: 2 pillars most probably supporting some sort of a loft, and a hearth. A figurine was placed in an unusual U-shaped small structure. The figurine is incomplete, with only the upper chest and the head bearing the marks of intentional blows, as if the abandonment of the building were to be responded to by the destruction of the figurine. But once the figurine was placed, the roof was dismantled, part of the wall was destroyed and the building was filled in. Only then another building was erected. Life resumed in this space, which however had a slightly different form than before. Now the 2 pillars were replaced by a simple partition wall, while a low platform was built where the U-shaped structure used to be. The hearth and the openings, though, were reconstructed approximately in the same place. 3 windows and the door let the light in. The intensity of The history of the village started under climatic instability and erratic rainfall, particularly favorable environmental conditions to the growth of oak and pistachio trees. Here, on top of the hill, the open space has seemingly undergone some changes. What was previously an open space is now partly occupied by a couple of new constructions, specifically a building of impressive size and a stone workshop that make us consider that this sector of the village functioned as a part of the settlement that was separated from the rest of the village. In this new sector then, even though cereal husking still happened around the platform, this activity was replaced outside the workshop by a new one, that of stoneworking. This building is very particular. Even though its form is similar to other domestic constructions, this one was used for the production of stone vessels. This workshop, unique in Cyprus and in the Near East, is most important because it allowed to reconstruct the manufacturing process of stone vessels, one of the most characteristic activities of the Khirokitia ceramic culture. Manufacturing hard stone vessels requires a precise know-how that only a few individuals were able to master. The shaping operations are indeed demanding in terms of time, skill, and energy. Pick up and hold the hammer stone, hit the block of stone, shape it and hollow it out, according to the successive manufacturing stages. The yellow spots indicate the hit points. Feel free to exit the workshop at any moment and proceed to other activities. The courtyard of a house was used for different activities such as manufacturing tools and objects and preparing food. The inhabitants' diet was mainly based on plants, cereals and pulses, and, to a lesser extent, on meat, sheep, goat, pig and fallow deer. Cooking was taking place inside the constructions. In the middle of the courtyard we usually find a grinding installation, which consisted of a large heavy quern fixed on a stone platform and a mobile grinding stone. Cooking was taking place inside the building. Wood charcoal was brought for heating the hearth. A small platform covered by a slab or pebbles acted as baking sheet. The burials of 248 adults, children and infants were found in the village. The analysis of the skeletons tells us about the physical characteristics and health of the population, whereas the funerary rituals may throw light upon the mental world and the deeper concerns of the population. Similar to the living population, the houses also belonged to the dead. These were buried in pits dug inside the building, which remained occupied. From the moment of its creation, the village was separated from the outside world by an impressive enclosure wall. Preserved up to a height of about 4 meters, it was made of a 3 meters thickness of earthen packing with an outer stone facing. This wall represents an important collective effort, which suggests the existence of a society sufficiently structured to provide the necessary labor for the construction and maintenance of large structures of common value and benefit, like this wall. The entrance could not be entirely excavated, but given the persistence of the architectural techniques used in time, the wall could be reconstructed based on knowledge drawn from the well-preserved later entrance that was found. This entrance is a complex structure designed to control access to the village through a stairway that was hidden from the outside and a narrow tortuous pathway that would have made it difficult for animals to climb up. The environment outside the village is a world of varied landscapes, differently experienced by the inhabitants through the seasons. There were woodlands, home to fallow deer that were hunted, that consisted also of more humid undergrowth with pigs, and open woodlands that were crossed by flocks of sheep and goats, and where various wild fruit, such as pistachios, figs, olives and almonds, were collected. Furthermore, there were cultivated fields of wheat, barley and pulses. Nearby was flowing a river that provided to the inhabitants of the village the necessary water, stones and canes, while one could reach the seaside 6 kilometers away, where from the villagers used to hunt fish and collect seashells. At the end of the 7th millennium, the landscape changed. It is likely to be akin to the one we see today. Trees that grow in warmer and less humid conditions, like pine and juniper, replaced the previously existed tree species. This change may have resulted from an aridification of the climate as well as from the development of sheep husbandry and agriculture. At the same time, an important change happened in the village's organization, a most significant shift of the built-up area to the west, surrounded by a new enclosure wall, which also necessitated the construction of a new entrance to the village. When the village was extended to the west, a new enclosure was built, parallel to the first boundaries of the settlement. It's an impressive stone wall, 2.5 meters thick and preserved here to a height of 3 meters. The flat stones that project outwards of the external side of the wall were most probably placed there to support the builders during construction. Actually, they could also be used by anyone wanting to climb up the wall, a remark that supports the idea that the enclosure wall had a more symbolic than practical value. The new entrance keeps the same axial location as the previous one. It is a very sophisticated structure, unique in Cyprus and the Near East. It comprises a staircase constructed in a massive stone structure against the enclosure wall. It is assumed that the narrow entrance, the tortuous stairway and the very well-preserved earthen coating on the steps preclude the passage of animals which were probably kept outside the village. Hence the built-up area of the village was really the territory of humans. When the village expanded westwards, the old enclosure wall was facing the newly built-up area, which was constructed though a few meters below the top of the wall. The wall thus remained visible during the village occupation, but it was used in this later phase of inhabitation as a retaining wall for the new constructions that were built eastwards. Unfortunately, it has not been possible to reconstruct the structures dating to the end of the village occupation because most of the remains have been destroyed by erosion. Located at the top of the steep north side of the hill, an area prone to erosion, the building tilted into the slope during its occupation. Part of its wall collapsed and was rebuilt. The building shows a special arrangement designed to overcome the constraints of the circular plan and increase the internal living area. 2 large stone pillars placed next to the wall support a loft, most probably used as storage space. The pillar appears to be inclined with the same angle as the inner side of the wall, resulting from the tilting of the building onto the slope. This proves that the loft was attached to the wall of the building. Like most of the pillars, it has a notch that would let light and air pass through it. The pillar may have been bedecorated with a red ochre painting, as evidenced in a well-preserved early building. Around 5500 BC, Khirokitia was deserted but not destroyed violently, while neither human agency nor climatic causes are evident. Some changes are observed, though, that may reflect a social crisis, the main one being the transformation of the spatial organization of the village as a closed space. From then on, Khirokitia spreads out on the hill without any visible borders. In addition, data from Khirokitia suggests that the village abandonment was planned and that the island remained occupied by populations who lived as small mobile communities, who are therefore archaeologically far less visible.